Hi friends, I'm Dave Barklow, pastor at Fort Walton Beach First United Methodist. Welcome to the Pastor's Study, our daily devotional to help us focus our mind on the things of God. Today, we finally make it into Mark chapter 10. This is the last chapter before we enter into the Passion Week narrative. So chapter 11 starts off with Jesus' triumphal entry into Jerusalem. And they're still teaching, but we get a lot more event-based through the final week of Jesus' life. And so we're looking at these teachings that Jesus have right before that important week. And it's interesting here because it's time for the religious leaders to test Jesus again, right? We've seen this throughout the Gospel of Mark. And so here we have a question about teaching on divorce. So I'm going to be reading from Mark chapter 10, verses 1 through 12. He left that place and went to the region of Judea and beyond the Jordan. And crowds again gathered around him, as was his custom, again he taught them. Some Pharisees came to test him. They asked, "Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife?" He answered them, "What did Moses command you?" They said, "Moses allowed a man to write a certification of dismissal and to divorce her." But Jesus said to them, "Because of your hardness of heart, he wrote this commandment for you. But from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. For this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore, what God has joined together, let no one separate." And then in the house, the disciples asked him again about this matter. He said to them, "Whoever divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery against her. And if she divorces her husband and marries another, she commits adultery." So there's a few things we need to know and to think about as Jesus gives us this teaching about divorce that's in response to a test that is being brought to them by the Pharisees. I'm not exactly sure what the test is here, right? Jesus, are they trying to get him to say something they don't want him to say? Is he trying to get him to catch him in an unpopular teaching so he loses credibility? We don't know, but we know they didn't come with the best intentions, right? And Jesus actually says intentions have everything to do with divorce. That Moses allowed the law to be God allowed Moses to write the law about a certificate of divorce because of the hardness of their hearts, when God's intention from the beginning was that marriage would be a commitment forever. Marriage was not romantic in ancient times, neither when Moses' law was written or when Jesus is walking the earth. It was an arrangement. It was a legal arrangement by which a woman was transferred from the household of her father to the household of her husband. And what the certificate of divorce allowed was for a man to get rid of a woman, and then as long as she had a certificate of divorce, she could enter into another man's house and become part of another man's household. So it was really a way of taking care of the woman in case the man decided he no longer wanted her around. And so Jesus says that's hardness of heart. God intended for marriage to be between one man and one woman. And then the disciples, this seems to really get to them, right? And so they decide that they come and they ask Jesus about it later. And Jesus does something remarkable here. In the law, it is not a provision for a woman to divorce her husband. So something's interesting there. And in fact, under the laws, the way that it had been interpreted, a man could not commit adultery. Adultery was about a woman being with another man who's not her husband, because it had to do with that financial arrangement, leaving households. And here Jesus says, no, a man can be unfaithful too. Jesus says it's an equal thing, that a man and a woman should be faithful one to another. So here we have Jesus' teaching that marriage is about faithfulness and it's about being together long term. No doubt these passages have been used to keep people, women especially, in abusive relationships in ways that Jesus did not intend. But the intent is true. God's intent is true, that marriage would be not undone, especially easily. Remember, friends, I love you. Take care of yourselves and shine the light of Christ.